Hello, everyone. Welcome to this ChargePlanner Day where we will learn how to create profitable location strategies for electric vehicle and truck charging. My name is Javier Altamirano, editor of Mobility Portal Europe, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Yasha Metin, commercial director at ChargePlanner. Yasha, how are you? It's nice to see you again.
Hello, Javiera. I'm good. I'm good. It's the best weather here. We're not used to during these times, so it cannot be better.
Okay, okay. And before moving to the next part, I want to thank you everyone who joined to watch this webinar, and I invite you to follow Mobility Portal Europe and Charge Planner on social media. So, Yasha, tell me about the origins of Charge Planner and the projects you are currently working on at the company.
Sure, happy to do that. Yeah, we saw that the market share of electric cars is growing rapidly in Europe. More and more consumers are driving electric or hybrid vehicles, and governments are encouraging environmentally friendly driving. Energy suppliers, gas stations, new players, car manufacturers, and retailers are investing heavily in new fast charging stations. As we are a company that have the needed data and as our expertise lies in location planning and strategy, moving to e-mobility for us was then, of course, a logical steps. At the moment, our current projects are expanding the tool of electric heavy-duty vehicles to other countries and fine-tuning the functionalities for our customers. It's a big project at the moment. And add more e-grid data. That is, yeah, a well-known challenge for probably all of the CPOs at the moment. And to upload more data to assess the usage patterns during the day. This should bring interesting extra insights to implement smart charging solution in an ideal, optimal way.
Okay, congratulations for this project, Yasha. And what can you tell me about your role in the company?
Yeah, as you already mentioned, I'm responsible for the international business development of ChargePlanner for cars, for e-cars, and also for trucks across Europe. And in my role for Retail Sonar, the company behind, I'm the commercial director of the DACH region that incorporates Germany, Austria, and Switzerland.
Okay, that's great. So we are ready for the presentation. So to those of you watching, I encourage you to stay tuned because Yasha will be giving a presentation that will help you to understand how to create profitable location strategies for electric vehicle and truck charging, and you can miss it. So thank you very much and see you in a few minutes.
Thank you, Javiera. Great. Then let's start. Javiera, thanks again very much for the short introduction and interesting questions. And now let's officially begin with our webinar. I'm looking forward to the next approximately 30 to 45 minutes as your host to guide you through the topic Create Your Most Profitable Location Strategy for EV and e-truck charging. You can ask questions through the chat and I will try to answer all of them at the end of the presentation. Later on, we will also share the presentation of today by email. But now let's begin the journey. A short introduction about the overall context of our company, Retail Sonar. Retail Sonar is relevant for a lot of industries, and the world is changing fast and becoming complex and digital. For services, this means a huge digital transformation with many services shifted from the location offline towards online and self-service, for example, online banking. This was driving downsizing questions for ATM and branch networks the last years. In classic retail, what you can see in the middle, we collaborate with big fast food chains, supermarkets, and other classic retailers. Here it is, for example, about e-commerce putting margins under pressure and optimize the performance of branch networks. And finally, on the right-hand side, also climate change brings, of course, new industries emerging, such as e-mobility, what is our topic of today with our solution, ChargePlanner. In conclusion, we see that all these industries are busy with large strategical exercises to rethink their physical network and make it future-proof. The general conclusion is that the data is needed to steer these exercises other than 10 years ago when gut feel was still the main compass. It is our role in the market to know where to find all the data needed and next to translate this data towards clear insights and actionable recommendations. For this, we build a strong customer-centric location intelligence platform. This platform is capable to help our clients to optimize the return on invest of their branch networks. This includes three important domains. First, from the left-hand side, location planning, a really strategical exercise where to open, relocate, or close locations. Location performance, a tactical one, which locations do not perform as they should based on their potential and what is the reason for the underperformance. And lastly, marketing efforts and more operational field, where to reach your customers with the right content at the right location. Within the EV business today, only location planning with opening is relevant to make the right investment decisions. But we are quite sure that in the future, also relocations, closures, and of course also consolidations will be important as well. The same will apply for the uplift of your location performance for underperforming sites and marketing efforts to reach your EV drivers efficiently. Good to know we are already ready for this. Here you can see an extract of some of our clients. We have a strong historical focus in retail as you might imagine, based also, of course, on our company name, Retail Sonar. We collaborate with fast food chains such as McDonald's, KFC, Pizza Hut, or supermarkets such as Aldi, Colruyt, Jumbo, Lidl, or big box retailers such as Decathlon, IKEA, and other industries. To address the needs to invest in the right locations for EV charging, we developed in our technology base of Retail Sonar the solution ChargePlanner. Today, we are leading the market for EV charging infrastructure, and the solution today is in use in more than 10 countries, such as France, Spain, Portugal, Germany, UK, Poland, Italy, and Benelux, and already used by more than 20 large international and national CPOs in Europe, country borders across, such as Total Energies, Avia, Power Dot, Shell, and many more. Let's now have a look at your market in general, starting with car charging. What is already clear today? E-mobility will be the future. Today, already 5 million full electric cars are driving through Europe. But to meet the expectations of the European Union, this number should be 8 times more in 2030. If you take a look at the table on the right-hand side, you can see the Nordics are leading the table. And within Europe, there are still huge differences between the European countries. In Norway, already more than 19% of the cars are full electric already, followed by other Scandinavian countries, while in other European countries, only a few percent of the cars are driving fully electric. But we have some potential good news because in South and Eastern Europe, we can see higher growing rates recently. Looking to Spain and Portugal, both countries are lagging behind the Western European countries. In particular, Spain, the current penetration of electric cars of only 0.6% is too low, waiting, of course, for more electric cars to be registered. But high exponential growth is expected in the coming years towards 5 million electric cars by 2030. Portugal instead has a bit more full electric cars with approximately 1.6% and will have 4 times more full electric vehicles by 2030. Let's now have a look at the e-truck market. By end of this year, there will be about 75,000 electric trucks in Europe. Here as well, the geographical coverage differs between countries and correlates quite much with electric cars, perhaps with one major exception, Poland, that has 9,000 electric trucks registered today. But you might imagine, of course, Poland is also a specialist in logistic transport. In the coming years, a growth towards 500,000 trucks is expected. This number seems quite low compared to the 40 million electric cars expected by 2030, but don't underestimate the impact of trucks on the usage. Because only one electric truck uses 80 megawatt hours per year, and this corresponds to the usage of 26 electric cars. So according to the expectations, electric trucks will represent 32% of the EV charging utilization in kilowatt hours, while they represent only 1% of the total amount of electric vehicles in 2030. This is an impressive impact on the electric congestion, of course, and this will even more increase already to 50% usage by 2035. In this part of the webinar, I will zoom in on the needs of car chargers. There will be a big need for extra chargers. We're coming from 1 million public charging points today in Europe towards 9 million in 2030, so nearly 10 times more in just 5 years. But where should they be installed and where's the highest demand in this regard? There's a huge demand, of course, for charging points in public car parks owned by the government or in private car parks owned by shops, restaurants, and petrol stations. And there's a need to several different types of charging points based on the demand of the target audience. Slow charging infrastructure or AC chargers with a power of less than 50 kilowatt charge slow with low investments needed and can be easily connected to the grid. They are typically cheaper for EV drivers to charge and preferred by people that work or live nearby and have time to recharge their car. The stay and charge target audience, we call them. Fast charging infrastructure instead recharges the car in about 30 minutes to 2 hours. This is ideal for destination charging by people that combine that charging with a visit or experience. Ultra-fast charging infrastructure recharges cars in less than 30 minutes, but the complexity and the costs for high-performance chargers are much higher, and therefore EV driver also need to pay more. This setup is for EV drivers that are on the road and want to recharge their cars as quickly as possible in order to lose not too much time. This is an extra charge they are willing to pay for the offered convenience. We call them charge and go audience. We also believe that there will be overlapping between car and truck charging, and there are already players who take this into consideration, such as Fastnap, developing shared hubs where trucks can charge slow overnight and cars can charge fast during the day. Good to know this for new existing sites with enough parking capacity to combine already infrastructure already and optimize your utilization. So let's have a look at how good the ultra-fast chargers are performing today in the different countries across Europe. We monitor utilization via mobile app data that can measure the number of visitors per charging site. Hereby, we see big differences today between the countries. Where charging points in the Netherlands, for example, have a high usage of 49 megawatt hours per year per charging point, this comes because there are already quite some EVs in the Netherlands. But the ultra-fast charging infrastructure is lagging behind because of congestions constrained on the electrical grid. At the other side of the spectrum, we measure much lower usages in Spain and Poland. These countries are still waiting for more EV cars to come in the next years. And these differences can be easily explained if you look at this table. Some countries, such as the Netherlands, have today 105 full electric cars per ultra-fast charging point or per DC charging point. And that's much more than, for example, in Poland or Spain. They have approximately 20 EV cars per charging points. So in the Netherlands, there's definitely a need for more fast charging infrastructure today than in other countries that are still waiting for more electric cars first. So good to go all the Netherlands today. Let's go there, but know that the bottleneck there today is the congestion of the network of the electrical grids. So some investments in extra grid infrastructure will be needed first before they can handle the imbalance. But also within a country, we see a lot of mutual differences in performance between charging points in the UK, for example. The overall usage per ultra-fast charging point is quite good. Yeah, it's 41 megawatt hour per year on average. But still, 10% of the current infrastructure does less than 14 megawatt hours, which make those locations to unprofitable sites today and probably also in the future. Let's have a look to a great performing ultra-fast charging site today in the UK from GridServe. This site is amongst the best performing sites in the United Kingdom with over 100 megawatt usage per year expected. While the location of BB Pulse in Craigavon is a low performing site with two ultra-fast chargers with less than 10 megawatt hour utilization expected per year. Now, what drivers make these sites so different in their expected performance? The first important driver is the obtainable car passage. How many cars can each of these sites attract? Typically, this is an important driver to attract EV drivers on the move that need to recharge ultra fast. Also, an important driver of success for ultra-fast chargers is the potential generated from local visitors. For ultra-fast charging, POIs with a dwell time less than 30 minutes increase the potential significantly, while a dwell time between 30 minutes and 2 hours mostly goes to visit and charge, the so-called destination charging. A stay of more than 2 hours is relevant for AC charging. Stay and charge potential mostly goes to AC charging less than 50 kilowatt in power, but don't underestimate the potential for fast charging. It's also always interesting to contextualize the environment of potential new sites of yours. For example, how wealthy is the living block or how many EV cars are registered there. The location quality, so the local environment, also supports the performance of charging sites. You should ask yourself, what experience can I offer to make it convenient for EV drivers? How visible is my charging site on and offline? How good can I reach it from important roads? And how safe do EV drivers feel, especially during night? Another driver of performance for charging points is the local competition and the cannibalization. Be aware that the closer you are located next to your competitor, the more cannibalization takes place, what reduces, of course, the utilization of your sites. Same applies to your own sites for internal cannibalization if you are too close to each other. On the other hand, if you are closer to an important intersection with inflowing cars than your competitor, this would enable more usage on your side, of course, but that is also vice versa the case. Following the left-hand side for ultra-fast charging, it is good to know that if you offer more power than your local competitors, this typically pays off in utilization compared to competing locations close by, because EV drivers prefer the convenience to charge faster. The brand strength in the middle itself is also very important and can lift up utilization by up to 50%. So be aware of your digital presence, the loyalty programs you're offering, and of course, the reliability of a smooth and successful charging experience. Lastly, on the right-hand side, the charging price and the pricing sensitivity of EV drivers play a role to leverage, on one hand, the utilization, and on the other hand, the margin of your local charging stations. As mentioned, the price sensitivity is important and increases. Therefore, there are several reasons for it, like the increasing amount of EV drivers with higher price awareness, higher energy costs, and operational expenses rising the prices, and the AFI regulations of public payment methods. But also, falling prices are possible due to the public payment, allowing EV drivers to charge anywhere without a contract or without base fees. As you can see at the right side, a Tesla charging at an ENBW charger. And how do you ensure to have the right pricing strategy for your local charging points? Here's an example of a charging site of EVZen. This site outperforms the competing site of R3 in all domains. More power, for example, more charging points. Therefore, the question is if it's really necessary for EVZen to be so price aggressive and offer a price that is on average 5 cents cheaper. So what happens with the utilization and the margin if EVZen would raise up the price by 3 cents? In this case, the margin would increase by 13%. Also, the revenue increases, while the usage has a breakdown, which is, of course, in this case, perfectly acceptable. And how is the average price across Europe? This table shows the ad hoc prices on average for some countries, and you can clearly identify a deviation in between. For example, the ad hoc prices for ultra-fast are expensive in Germany, UK, and the Netherlands. Meanwhile, the charging price in Spain stays below 50 cents per kilowatt hour. In general, EV drivers are willing to pay more for fast and ultra-fast charging, what could give confidence to charge more for more power at your local stations. If you're interested in more information on how to set up an ideal local pricing strategy, feel free to download our pricing white paper using this QR code. Also, the costs play a role for installing ultra-fast chargers, especially the distance towards the connection point vary in costs from 10,000 to 100,000 euros. And in this calculation, hardware is not even included. What is also important is information about the mid-tension networks. Is there free capacity? Is there enough free capacity? All in all, open data on grid network is highly appreciated for CPOs. Now, after all the drivers of performance analyzed, you may ask yourself probably of what usage a charging site need to offer to gain profitability. Here you can see examples of profitable charging sites in all three domains: slow, fast, and ultra-fast charging. A normal performing ultra-fast charging point, for example, that sells 30 megawatt per year, will have a profit margin of around 13,000 euros per year. But knowing that the investment is higher than 100,000 euro, this will result in a long payback time of 10 years. So ultra-fast charging points that only sell 10 megawatt hour per year today will have a payback time of already approximately 99 years, if the usage will not increase in the future, of course. That's the reason why it's important to take the right location decisions now for your future charging infrastructure, based on market insights and the right drivers of success. And now to summarize all the data insights necessary to evaluate profitable charging sites, we can do that now. So first, the car passage, including daily or hour buckets, so you also know when or how many cars passing by for each road segment. Also, the local activity categorized in dwell times below 30 minutes for ultra-fast charging, 30 minutes until 2 hours for destination charging, and more than 2 hours for AC charging. Residential potential mainly for AC chargers with EV drivers that stay more than 2 hours, but also to contextualize the environment of your charging station. For example, to identify the number of EVs registered, the wealth index, and so on. Competition, including the setup of each site, such as the number of charging points, the offered power in kilowatt, and the average ad hoc price. The parking to evaluate opportunities of free spaces for charging points. Also, for a potential collaboration with parking facility owners. For this, it's always possible to create a location analysis report, as you can see here on the top right-hand side. And with this data, it's possible to upload up to 500 locations with one badge, with multiple configurations, and directly identify profitable charging sites. The greener, the more usage they expect. And now the question of how can you find the most profitable locations. I will show it to you. The first step is to have the right data. For example, the residential potential for visits more than 2 hours, or how many EV cars are registered and which areas are the most wealthy. If you want to know the car passage on a road segment, this can also be easily visualized in the platform. You can see the passage distribution over the different days and even different hours on average. And if you zoom out a bit more, you also easily see the busiest roads in the country. The local activity can also be analyzed in the tool. As already explained, we cluster them in terms of duration of stay. You have the short stay, middle, long stay, and long stay activity. You can even see the number of visits that each of your locations attract. Of course, it's also interesting to have insights in the competition. So you could see all the information by just clicking on the location, such as the number of charging points, the price, the power, and so on. It is also relevant to know how far each location is situated from the electricity network, to have an idea of the connection costs. So now that we have all the data, we are ready to forecast the potential of a certain location. You can test a location by simply drag and drop the location on the desired spot. Next, you fill in all the information on the configuration of that site. When this is done, you can calculate the result and simply create a report to analyze all the building blocks of the model. Here you can see information about the car passage, the residential potential, the competitors, the local activity potential, and so on. Based on all the previously mentioned data, we come up with the predicted annual usage of the site. And now I want to show you some real hotspots, charging locations in several countries. This here, for example, is a charging site in UK with 117 megawatt hour expected usage per charging point. As you can see on the right-hand side, this site offers a lot of cars passing by and a lot of local activity with POIs with a dwell time less than 30 minutes and between 30 minutes and 2 hours. Next, there's also no competition close by. One in France on the left-hand side with 89 megawatt hours and one in Germany with 47 megawatt hours per charging point in Wilsdruff close to the A4. One in Spain with 41 megawatt hours, one in Poland with 62 megawatt hours. And last but not least, one in Belgium with 170 megawatt hours and one in the Netherlands with 95 megawatt hours. If you're interested in more reports about potential hotspots across Europe, we have these and further examples available for several countries, which you can download by visiting this link or scanning the QR code directly. Now, let's open up a very recent and unexpected business, the truck charging. This is a very new business and we are still digesting it. How do we look at it? That's the question. We at ChargePlanner believe there are also three different types of chargers for three domain approaches. Slow chargers for overnight charging. This can also be a combined infrastructure with ultra-fast charging for cars. Fast charger for depot or destination charging, and on the right-hand side, ultra-fast charging for charging close to highways and big logistic flows for trucks on the go, having a shorter break. We bundled all the relevant truck data in our platform. This helps to prioritize action for truck charging infrastructure. For trucks, it's still a bit early to analyze the current usages, but good to know that fleet management data can help. Map the number of trucks passing each road segment. Also, the moment the trucks pass by is shown, and this will become important to know how to balance the capacity of the electrical grid. And analyze the number of stops and duration at each industrial zone and the truck parking. Knowledge about all industrial zones in a country and accumulated stops per industrial zone. Offer truck service and logistic companies, including further information such as amount of employees per company, for example. The electrical grid capacity, and of course, the competition with the setup, such as the number of chargers and the offered kilowatt hours at that station. With this data, it's already possible to analyze a batch of locations and create valuable reports analyzing relevant market insights for each truck location. So with ChargePlanner, we are already capable to rank the best locations based on their potential with the statistic regression analysis. Here you can Download one example hotspot location analysis report we created for a truck charging station in France by visiting this link or scanning the QR code directly. We will be also, so that you know, we will be also creating further hotspot reports in other countries in the coming month. The electrical heavy-duty vehicle infrastructure is very uncertain at the moment. And I think myself and our team, it's a good question to ask ourselves. Will fast and ultra-fast chargers for trucks ever become profitable? In the end, if the European Union wants to reach the goals for the electrification of fleets, it needs to be profitable for private investors especially. But it will not be easy for sure. So, if you want to consider to focus on fast or ultra-fast charging infrastructure for trucks, it will be important to think about optimizing the infrastructure. On one hand, by elaborating clear charging plans such that equipment can be used all day and night long, and the technical design can be adjusted to this plan. And on the other hand, by optimizing the energy supply to ensure that electricity prices can remain under control and the capacity required from the electrical grid can be reduced. So, this also requires a close alignment with logistic companies, of course. And then the future will tell and answer this question, of course. At ChargePlanner, we also invest in lobby work to support CPOs not only with location decisions, but also to have precise and sufficient information about electrical grid across Europe. Together with the European Union and the Flanders government, we are part of a project. It is an alignment between grid operators and CPOs for the overall objective to avoid unprofitable investment in charging infrastructures. In the Fluvius project, it's now possible to get information about future demand, charging sites, and capacity on the electrical grid. Feel free to visit our website for more details. One last remark before I end the webinar. To support our growth plans across Europe, we need local knowledge and sales support in countries where we don't have an office yet, such as, for example, Italy, UK, Poland, and other countries. Just let me know if you know someone or if you can support yourself. And now I want to thank you very much for your time. If you want to know more or if you need help, please reach out directly, for example, via LinkedIn, email, or you can call me directly. Just scan the QR code for the contact details. And now I'm happy to answer all of your questions.
Thank you, Yasha, for this interesting presentation. You have explained in a clear way what you do and how you can collaborate with CPOs, and also a great insight into the e-mobility landscape in Europe. I see that you are receiving congratulations in the chat for the presentation, and someone is asking if this video is going to be recorded. And yes, this video will be available on YouTube, so you can watch it as many times as you like. Now, Yasha, I would like to ask you a few questions based on the presentation. In the meantime, I invite those of you watching to leave your questions in the chat for Yasha to answer. So first, Yasha, could you mention a specific success story you have worked on? Could you explain how it developed from start to finish?
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you. We already have a lot of happy customers and successful collaborations with our clients. Two of those are mentioned on our website, for example, Total Energies and Avia. Apart from those, our list of customers is constantly growing. For example, PowerDot, Q8, Electric, etc. A recent case is with Total Energies. They use ChargePlanner to strategically develop their EV charging network, enhancing their data-driven approach where we can help to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. ChargePlanner's location analysis and predictive capabilities help them identify high potential sites and optimize their rollout plans.
Okay, and Yesha, this year you plan to expand into many markets covering all Europe. What factors do you consider when deciding which markets to enter first? And I also would like to know if you consider expanding outside of Europe and which other countries could Charge Planner solution be applied to?
Yeah, thanks for the question. We are technically enabled to set up our solution all over the world.
Okay.
Today, we have data packs available for nearly every European country. The decision to roll out to a new country depends on the size of the country and the corresponding market size, as well as, of course, and that's the most important, the request from our existing customers and prospects. If a customer signs for a new country, then we can implement it within a time span of, we calculate with 3 months. Until
Mhm.
now, we have focused on the European market only, where we have a leading position. Our goal is to strengthen our position in Europe by adding extra countries. Italy is our recent released country. I think in 2 weeks it will be live, as well as extend and improve our existing solutions, of course, for living product and roadmap.
Okay, congratulations for this. And in your presentation, you highlight the great need for public charging stations. What role does the AFIR, the Alternative Fuel Infrastructure Regulation, play in this regard, and how can Charge Planner help meet such regulations?
Yeah, AFIR pushes the market forward, which is needed, of course. On the other hand, the market should work as autonomously as possible. In a good working market, the investors can have a profitable business on their own. I guess that Charge Planner helps a lot to enable CPOs to increase the return on invest, as I mentioned in the presentation, on their investment by avoiding wrong investment decisions and to take faster decisions by having accurate data insights and state-of-the-art predictive model at their disposal.
Mhm. And what steps must be taken by those who wish to acquire your solution?
Yeah, as I mentioned in the presentation, yeah, you can contact me directly. Everyone gets the presentation. There's a QR code. You can search on LinkedIn, write me an email. And what I also really much like is an old fashioned to receive calls. So don't hesitate to call me also.
So for the audience, feel free to reach out with us or contact Charge Planner directly. So I don't know, Yasha, if you have anything else to say.
No, thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. You could gain valuable insights as well. That is most important. And I also hope, due to the technical issue at the beginning, that we didn't lose too many clients. But as you mentioned, Javiera, everything is online on YouTube. So there's also a chance for the one missing to review it. And
Yeah,
I will.
remember. Yeah. No, no, please continue.
And we will share, of course, the presentation afterwards.
Okay. I would like to say that remember that this video will be available on YouTube so you can watch it as many times as you like. And additionally, Mobility Portal Europe will be publishing an article summarizing and putting into writing what Yasha explained. And Yasha, again, thank you very much for explaining so clearly what you do and how can CPOs benefit from your solution. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
I can only give this feedback back, Javiera, and I think we will meet on one or the other event, for example, Power to Drive coming up. Also happy we are having a booth there to have visitors and to shake hands. Looking forward to it, and we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to meet the Charge Planner team. And to those of you watching, give this video a like, and we'll see you at the next company day. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, Yash.
You too. Muchas gracias. Bye bye.
Gracias.